Bowling, anyone? How many people here have gone bowling before? Excellent, I picked a good topic. Bowling is one of those activities that we do that we're constantly doing self-assessment of ourselves, right? We're adjusting where we stand and how we hold the ball, and how fast we throw the ball, and do we put spin on the ball. We're constantly adjusting. A few years ago, I went bowling with my kids, and I'm at the desk, and the clerk says to me, "Do you want the bumpers up?" And I said, "I don't know, what are the bumpers?" He said, "Oh, they're rails that we pull up so that the ball can't go into the gutter." This is great for me, because I throw a lot of gutter balls. So every time we go bowling, we use the bumpers. But what the bumpers do, they help people redirect their efforts towards their goal of trying to knock down pins. And I was thinking about that, and that's what feedback does for us in Toastmasters. It helps to redirect our efforts towards our goal and objective, to become better speakers. Today, I'm going to be presenting from the Excellence in Leadership series, and specifically I'm going to talk about giving effective feedback. Not just feedback, but how to be an evaluator. We are all in this room, and we're all looking at Toastmasters and joining Toastmasters for similar reasons. We all want to become better speakers, better presenters, better communicators. And today I'm going to add better evaluators. Now, if you do nothing else but you come to meetings and you just sit here and you watch people present and do speeches, you are going to be a better speaker. If that's all you do, you just observe people. Now, if you come to a meeting and once a month, 12 times in the next year, you prepare and give a speech, you're going to be that much further ahead of somebody that just comes in here and sits and observes. But the real trick, the real magic to Toastmasters is getting the evaluation. When we sit here and do a speech, and then we get somebody that points out, "Gee, you know, you could improve on this, you could do this a little differently," and we start to realize where to put our efforts, that's when we start to get the real benefits from Toastmasters. What is feedback? It's positive, constructive feedback. It helps people to grow, to build confidence, and it helps you achieve your goals and to succeed. I've been in Toastmasters for coming up on 3 years. And one thing I've noticed is that people generally don't like to be evaluators. They don't like the role. It's kind of hard, and usually it's one of the last roles we fill, and sometimes we're begging, "Can you please do this for me?" And I think the reason for that is people are a little confused about the role. You need to understand what your role is. First off, you are not a critic or a judge. That's one of the reasons I think people say, "No, I don't want to do it," because they think, "I don't want to criticize somebody. I'm not very good myself. What gives me the right to criticize?" Or they feel like, "Oh, I'm passing judgment on somebody." That's not the purpose. What is the purpose? You've been asked to give somebody feedback so they can improve. Think about this. If the first thing I did when I got up here today is I said to you, "Hey, listen, during my presentation, if you notice something that I do that you think I could do better, or maybe something I should do a little less of, could you write that down and then give it to me at the end of the day?" If I asked you to do that, how many of you would feel like you were criticizing me? How many feel they would be judging me? How many people would feel like you're helping me out? Yeah, that's what you're doing. You have to keep that mindset that that's your purpose, that you're helping a friend. And that will help you to take on that role and be more comfortable with it. So there's different types of feedback too, right? Now I think I've picked out the top 3 that I think are most common. But the most important thing we need to do is keep in mind that we want to provide beneficial feedback that drives improvement. Point out things that if somebody tweaks here or there, they can smooth out a rough edge, or they can be a little bit more polished when they present. Anybody ever watch little kids play soccer or baseball or basketball? And you know what happens when they all come off the field? The coaches and the parents say, great job, good job, super job, you did a great job, come back next week, we'll have some more fun. You know what kind of feedback that is? That's what I call benign feedback. Just fluff. Now for kids, they need that. I mean, we need some encouragement too, but we need more than just fluff. We need specific feedback. We need some meat in there. Another kind of feedback, benign feedback is not good if that's all you're giving. Negative feedback is also not good. It's off-putting. Now I think everybody in the room has experienced some situation where you've received negative feedback. It has an opposite effect. It hurts people's feelings. It makes them not want to get up here and put themselves out to speak. Now, if you keep that right mindset that I talked about a moment ago, and you think, oh, here's my friend, I'm helping them, that'll help keep you in check. So you think about the types of words that you say and the way you're going to say it so that you don't say it negatively. What we want is honest, positive, and constructive feedback. If you do that, you'll leave them feeling good. And that's important, because you want them to be able to get back up here and do it again the next time you're going to present. Evaluations. It's really a 4-step process. The very first step is to know the objectives. You need to understand what that speaker's goal is when they get up here. What are they trying to accomplish? Are they trying to entertain you? Are they trying to make you laugh? Are they trying to inform you? Is it their first speech and all they want to do is get up here and survive for 4 minutes and sit back down? That could be it. This is an example of one of the objectives. All of the Toastmasters projects have specific objectives. And when you're an evaluator, you should get the manual ahead of time so you can read through that, so you know what to look for. So you can determine, did they meet that objective or do they need to work on something? Then, you need to observe the speaker's performance. Not just the words, the whole ball of wax. You need to listen to the words. You need to listen to how they say it. Is it all monotone, so they're talking like this and they're like, really, I love my dogs more than life itself? Or are they using some excitement and some emotion? Are they using the whole stage? Are they walking around purposefully? So you want to observe that. And some of the objectives have to do with the audience. Is the audience engaged? Are they laughing? Are they paying attention? So as the evaluator, you have to also glance off at the crowd to make sure nobody's falling asleep. That's not any of the objectives. Then you want to provide immediate feedback. And that's easy here because it's part of our meeting. We also have 2 opportunities to provide feedback. We can give verbal feedback when we get up here, and we're going to actually tell them what we saw, what we observed, maybe something they could work on, and end positively. But then we also have the manual, and we're going to write down an evaluation. And sometimes you can get into a little bit more detail there on this is what I saw, and maybe these are some things you can try to get better. And always, always recognize positive performance. I don't care if it's the worst speech you ever saw. There's always something good. Now, think about this. Think of maybe somebody who's never spoken in public before, and they join Toastmasters, and they stand up here, and they're scared to death, and they're reading notes, and they're looking straight ahead, they're not making any eye contact, and they forget to breathe a few times, so they start to sway a little bit. And then you have to evaluate it. What do you say? Well, this is what you say. You know what? The objective for that speech was to get up here for 4 minutes, and you did it. You faced your fear. You put yourself out there, and you did it. That's what you say. There's always something good, and you need to really point that out to people so they don't give up. Some other things. You want to be specific. You want to be very direct, that your opening seemed kind of low-key, and it was a really exciting topic, talking about the roller coasters and all of that. You really should bring some more excitement into that. You also want to be sincere. Don't make anything up. Be kind. Remember, it's a friend. You're helping a friend out. You want to be kind and sincere. When you're an evaluator, you are not a representative of the audience. You are giving your own feedback. How many times have we gone to the same concert or the same speech or the same movie, and some people are walking out saying, wow, that's the best thing I ever saw. I want to go see it again right now. And other times people are like, yeah, it was all right. I didn't like it. So there's a lot of different things that people perceive, and when you're the evaluator, you're giving your opinion on what you saw, what you liked, what you thought they could improve upon. Give feedback and advice. Gee, I really loved how you talked about deviled eggs. I love deviled eggs. When I heard that was the topic, that was fantastic. I got all excited. Then you started talking about the filling, and then you started talking about boiling eggs. It seemed a little out of order. Maybe if you thought logically about the flow a little bit, and maybe tell us how long it takes to hard boil an egg, 11 minutes probably, that would be helpful. But I loved how you finished it, because you talked about how that was the first plate empty at the party that you went to. Oh, my mouth was watering. So you can give the advice, you just kind of work it in there. Point out what they did that needs improvement, and then maybe make some suggestions. Oh, you looked a little stiff, you didn't move around too much. Try to look at individuals one at a time. It helps you. Different things. Use the sandwich method. You've probably heard this before, where you start with something positive, then you work in a little constructive feedback in the middle, and then you end on a positive note, something else that they did well. I just kind of gave an example of how you would do that. Recognize improvement and encourage more of the same. As you come to Toastmasters and you get to see people present speeches over and over and over again, you're going to start to recognize and see how they've grown and how they've improved, and point that out. Gosh, I remember the first time you got up to tell a speech, you didn't move much, you seemed a little stiff, you were nervous. But now, this speech that you just did today, you were more relaxed, you moved around, you just looked a little bit more comfortable in that role. Working in there. And that encourages them, and it recognizes what they did. I've already mentioned, end on a positive note. Leave them feeling good. And then express your appreciation, because it's not easy what we do. You've all heard that study that the #1 fear of people is public speaking, even before death. It's not quite as bad as that, I don't think. But just let them know that we appreciate that they're going through the effort and that it's worth it. So what do we talk about today? Feedback. When we get feedback, it's like the bumpers on the bowling alley. It redirects our efforts so that we can be directed more towards our objectives or back to our objectives. Remember your role. You're a helper. You're here to help a friend so they can improve. And when you keep that mindset, it really helps you to fill that role in a better way. Some pointers. When you give the pointers, you want to drive improvement. You don't want to just say things like, oh, you should do this or you should do that. You want to own it. I saw that you did this. Maybe if you did it a little differently, that would make it come out a little bit more smoothly. You have to work on it. And then the 4 steps: know the person's objectives, observe their performance, provide immediate feedback, and always recognize positive performance. And then things to remember: always be sincere, be honest, be specific. Use the sandwich method, because it ends on the right note that you want. In conclusion, meaningful feedback motivates people. It reinforces outstanding performance, and it encourages them to continue to improve so that they can be successful. I hope you'll take some of these tips and the things that we've talked about and incorporate them when you're in that role, because when you're a good evaluator, when you provide positive, constructive feedback, then not only do you grow,